Well, let me first start by saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And I say that respectfully, depending on where on this circular space of what we call land or flat, if you're one of those locations. And when I say flat, I mean flat for those people who think the world is flat. That's for a whole nother show, and I don't necessarily want to get into it today. But today, we all know it's shit shot. Let's try that again. We all know that today is Shit Talking Sundays in the light of a warrior. We have the MS Warrior here today, again, this week, to continue speaking about her journey with MS. What's going on?
Hey, good evening, everybody. How are you doing?
Or good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. So, hey, today's topic, but hey, before we get started, rewind. Let's get the disclaimer out the way. Remember, everybody, what she says, what I say, we are neither doctor nor health
medical
guide,
professionals.
Medical professional. We are just two people talking about what she's going through and her journey. If you feel that you need or want to try one of these things that she is doing, please consult your doctor first. We are not doctors. We are just giving you her journey, and her journey might fit for you. If you are going through a different journey, please reach out to us, because maybe your journey will help somebody else. Okay?
Exactly.
So, yes. With that being said, you may continue.
Alrighty. Hey guys, how you doing? Good evening. Hope everybody's had a wonderful day. And the weather here in Cali is cooling down a little bit. So woohoo! Hate to see the sun go, but
Mhm.
it's time, right? So, and let me start off by saying my disclaimer as well. Anything I talk about tonight on the podcast is totally what my medical team has put on board for yours truly. What may be good for me may not be good for you. What's good for you may not be good for me. So, not at all am I giving you medical advice. And by all means, if you feel you are in a medical emergency, please dial 911, reach out to family and friends and your medical team. Okay. So, I've got a lot to say today, I think. So, hey, Steph, I'm right on time, girl. We're just getting started. Get in here, get in here, get in here. Come on, y'all, get in there. Um, so I want to start off with update because I've been sharing my journey on um, Kesimpta, multiple sclerosis, and I've also given you guys bits and pieces of my my life, my personal life, just my life overall in general. So a lot of you guys know that I have been giving information about my dad, what I'm going through, what we are about to go through, of course, and that is part of my journey because he's part of my life, right? Um, so now what we're doing is we went and seen the lung specialist for the first time um, the other day, and um, he is going to have the biopsy done actually on the 19th. He his that lung specialist wants a new CT scan. They want a PET scan. Recently, I've been hearing PET scans. I never heard about a PET scan before, and I heard it. A warrior spoke of it on one of the channels that I listen to, that I'm a part of, and so I was like, okay, where did this PET scan come from? Because in all my life, and especially the last 5 years of having multiple sclerosis, I never heard of a PET scan. But anyhow, so this PET scan, um, they give you some type of sugar an hour before the test. It's like an MRI test, but they give you the sugar an hour before, and they check your lymph nodes to make sure that there's nothing, you know, possibly cancerous or spreading of cancer, anything like that to your lymph nodes. And I'm not liking this light in my eyes, guys. For some reason, in my glasses tonight, things just seem to be a little kooky for me. Um, so um, he has to have that done. He has to have a new CT scan done, and also he has to have an MRI done of the brain. They want to make sure that nothing is there. Um, at this point, we are being told they are almost 100% sure that it is cancer, and actually two types of cancer. But until the biopsy, they will not be able to tell us um, what type of cancers they are and in what stage. They did tell us that some of the lesions look possibly could be um, some cancer spread to the lung. And this is typical from what they're saying. This can be typical of cancer being somewhere else and then it had spread to the lung. But he has a mass 3 inches on left lung and one about 2 inches on his right lung amongst some lesions. And um, so my dad has a long road ahead of him, and God willing, he'll do the radiation one. They have to do radiation on if that is an option once the biopsy comes back, because it is in direct line of some air passages and they can't do surgery there. But the other mass, it's looking like they can surgically remove the biggest one, and that's great news. My dad did have vocal cord cancer about 25 years ago, and he recovered from that, but he has no voice really. It's really, really super duper raspy. That's because the radiation, he's got scarring here where they did the radiation through his neck, and it fried his vocal cords. So my dad's been without really a clear voice for 25 years. And mind you, now he's 82. So um, hopingly these tests come out, for on a positive note about treatment, and hopefully it's in a stage where it can be treated and stuff. Of course, nobody wants to deal with the things that come with cancer, and for their loved one and everything. So if you guys please, please, please just say a little prayer for my dad and our family that while we go through this. Um, this is going to be trying for me, and I'm sure some of you warriors can probably say, "Oh God, warrior, put your boots on kind of tight," because anyone knows, if you've had a sick loved one, in the hospital and of any sort, not even just cancer, just any sort, the going back and forth, the appointments, and the testing, and um, all that. I remember doing this when my mother and my brother were stricken in the hospital, and they both ended up passing away 5 months apart, and they were both in the hospital almost the same amount of time. And I was healthy. I wasn't stricken then with MS, and I was there every day, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it wore me down really, really fast. So this time I really have to map out um carefully map out carefully how I'm going to receive all this news, this emotion, and on top of it, physically be able to be there with him and get this done. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of family that can be there. So um, I need to be careful on how I approach all this so I don't knock myself into a tizzy, if you know what I mean. I don't even want to say the word. You know what I mean, warriors. So I got to be really careful and manage my emotion and manage my stress level very, very carefully. Yeah. So prayers are welcomed. All of them are. So so that's the update, and I will keep you guys up on the journey as I go along with that. And I appreciate all the concerns and the kind words that I am getting off of my channel in regards to my dad and us about to step on out on this journey of his. So I appreciate you guys for your thoughts and prayers. It's appreciated. So with with that out of the way, I wanted to give you guys an update, and also you guys know I've been dealing with this stomach issue that the pharmacist said that um, it's caused from the Kesimpta causing my stomach spasms. Um, and I've also read that it could be, well, not the stomach thing, but my belly was still burning off and on since this started a couple days after my injection. I see my doctor on the 29th, so I think I'm going to ask for some tests or ultrasound so he can take a peek in my belly and see, make sure nothing's going on. I do inject the Kesimpta in my abdomen, and I have this whole time. So, and I'll be going on my 19th injection. So, it's been a minute since I've been injecting, there. And, but I've also read that your bladder causes that sensation, and also your pancreas can cause a little irritation behind the belly button if you have pancreatitis. I don't have pancreatitis. I know I don't. I mean, there's other things that come with pancreatitis. something irritated it, and it was like I said, it just everything kicked in a couple days after the last Kesimpta injection on the 31st, 30th or 31st. But that was my 18th injection. So that's the update. It has gotten better. I'm not experiencing so much as the spasms anymore, but the pain behind my belly button and stuff is still there. It comes and goes. I'm still nauseated off and on, not the whole day like I was before. Like that shit was getting on my nerves. Like I did not feel good at all. And yeah, so um it has gotten better, so that's a good thing. It didn't get worse from its worst point where I was at. So that's, of course, a good thing. So that's the update. As far as me with my issue with that, I do see my lung specialist on the 27th. So I'm so excited to get into this appointment, because if you guys know, you follow me, you guys know that I had a lung screening done, and they see a gray area on the right side of in the middle of my lung that that I need to go in and see about what they see that it is, and to find out, okay, what's the next move. They say they don't see any type of cancer there, so the cancer folks have already passed me on, and which is good. So now I am going to a lung specialist for them to look into it further. Now, I was already told that it could be damaged because I'm a former smoker, and which that's true. And my neurologist that I see for my MS, he's got the film as well, and he says it looks like I have had COVID. He sees this in COVID patients. Well, I've never had COVID, but he says that I could have been, asymptomatic. And I was like, wow, okay. No one around me that I live with um, has had COVID. And I've raised grandchildren, and Larry is here, and my dad is here, and um, no one, if that's the case. But okay, but anyhow, that's the update on that. And of course I'll keep you guys up to date on that as I go through my appointments and stuff. I'll definitely keep you guys posted. There we go. Sorry, you guys. I'm messing with my lighting and stuff today. It just seems off. So anyway, that's why I say, you guys, take care of you, because if you don't, who will, right? It's important for you, us, on top of the MS, to stay diligent on our health, because things get overlooked because we're dealing with so much every day that that's on a MS scale, that we tend to bypass other things that we feel, but we think, okay, MS, well, I'm going to have new symptoms, yada, yada, yada. Sometimes it's not always MS related. Okay. So just remember, pay attention to your body. And, us, especially women, we have to take care of our breast health and our female health. All those things are still important and, serious, just as the MSs. So I have a lot, guys, because I've been reading and just comparing my life with multiple sclerosis to what I'm finding. And I came across a good read about um, myths with MS, and that I have seen in quite a bit of warriors on other platforms asking other warriors, hey, have you this, have you this, have you this, so um we turn to others like us, for answers, because doctors don't know everything, and they don't live with it. I'm sure there are some doctors that have MS, then those are the ones that can speak on answering your questions and stuff like that, just in comparison to what their life is like with MS. But what is your chance that, out of the big community of warriors, that at least, let's see, there's 2.2 million Americans in as of 2016 stricken with multiple sclerosis. So what is the chance, what is the high rate that those warriors, including myself and you, our doctor has MS as well? It's a slim chance to none, right? So what I have written are the questions that were it was on the net, and actually it is the myth. There's 9 myths about multiple sclerosis, and I was intrigued by that because there was questions that I really didn't know for certain, but even though it doesn't apply to me, I still wanted to know the answer. And I've seen other people ask this question, other warriors have asked this question. And, so I'll start off with one of these questions was, everyone with multiple sclerosis eventually needs a wheelchair. Okay. These are questions that people, have asked. And don't quite know the full spectrum of the disease, because everyone is different and they're unique. I knew from working with someone that had advanced multiple sclerosis many, many moons ago, that she was bedridden. And I didn't know too much then about MS. And then when I found that I had MS, that was the first thing that came to my mind is, oh my God, I'm going to be bound to a wheelchair. And by all means, I had to learn the truth about this disease, and all the educating that I've done for myself. It it's been a great factor, because not everyone that I'm able to call can tell me their experience with MS. Okay. So that's why a lot of people turn to the internet and turn to people who are actually living it and experiencing it, so they feel more comfortable with knowing, okay, maybe this is what I have to look for toward to, or maybe not, because not all of our symptoms are the same, and not all of our multiple sclerosis on the same stage, let's call it stage, because there's 4 types. So I hate stage, but then, okay, stage, and I won't even get into that. I talked about that, I think, past 2 shows. But anyhow, so that is a myth. Okay. So if any of you warriors out there are wondering and just being newly diagnosed, or thinking, or if you're right now waiting for your diagnosis, it's a myth that you will definitely be in a wheelchair. Are there some warriors that are in a wheelchair? Yes, there are. There's different levels of this disease. Okay. But it's not, when you are diagnosed with MS, you're not given that ticket of 100% that you'd be wheelchair bound. No, it all depends on what your body is going to do. Okay.
Can I add something to that?
Oh, yes, definitely.
I'm going to say that uh, if your mindset tells you that this is your end result, you will be in a wheelchair, and that's how your mind is thinking and allowing you to operate, you will 100%, because your body will deteriorate to the point that I'm not going to say 100%, but most likely are going to need some type of assistance.
Right. In many areas as well. It's not
So,
just for your
yes,
mobility. Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
definitely
Things. Yes.
exercise, keep moving. Just because they tell you you're not going to be able to. That's what they project.
Right.
People, doctors project all the time that people are only going to live this long, and people outlive that because in their mind, the mindset is that, oh hell no, I'm not dying tomorrow or next week or in
Yeah.
6 weeks. I'm going to fight
Right.
life. I'm going to fight. Life is worth fighting for in any occasion. So if
Yeah.
you're going to allow yourself to think, and I'm going to chime in on all these 9 myths, if you
Hmm.
allow yourself to think that you will lose mobility, you will. But if you
Yeah.
fight to keep it, exercise,
Yeah.
exercise. Because even if you didn't have MS and you sit in a chair 24/7, 365, you will lose the ability to work because your muscles, it's
It
just
will be
like when,
gone.
yeah, it's
Hmm.
just like when an astronaut goes into space. When they come back, they have trouble walking for a little bit because their muscles aren't used to being used. So
Right.
use it or lose it.
Yeah,
Carry.
that's a good one. Use it or lose it. But it's also true. Also true. You don't have to be stricken to lose muscle mass, your strength. And with being a warrior, it's hard to gain that back. Once it's gone, you can't live in a gym 24/7 to get that muscle tone back, that strength. It'll be even harder because we already suffer from that deficit. So that one was a myth, but it does say most people don't use a wheelchair. 15 years after diagnosis, 20% of people will need a wheelchair, crutches, or a cane to walk. Okay, that's 15 years later, and 20% out of, let's go back as far as 2016, 2.2 million. Okay, that's not a lot. Okay, so it's a myth. um the second one was people with multiple sclerosis cannot work. I see a lot of people asking, they're at work and they were just diagnosed and they don't know what to do. Okay, or they need to keep working or go back to work to survive, right? So if you are clinically given the diagnosis that you have MS, you do not have to stop working. Working depends on how you were able to hang with working, being on your feet, your focus, the brain fog, all those things, your fatigue, all of that, your mobility, all that comes into play on how well you can perform your job and how well you feel doing it. Okay. A lot of people have to take a career change, and that's okay. That's still saying you can work if you can work. Okay. So just because you are given a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis, that doesn't mean that you quit working. Okay. So that's a myth. Um, And let me back up a little bit because I forgot to give my answers. Okay, to the first one, the wheelchair. When I was first diagnosed, I was in pretty bad shape. That first relapse that I had at diagnosis wiped me out for 3 months. The neurologist I was seeing at that time, she refused to give me a wheelchair. I had asked for one. She refused. She said, "Nope, I'm not giving it to you. I don't want you to depend on it, and that will hurt you in the long run." So right now you seem to that you're going through this relapse and struggling, but you're going to go through physical therapy, you're going to speech therapy, all these therapies. She would not, she said, "No, I'm not going to put you in one because you will depend on that. You will not be able to continue walking and hold yourself up. I won't do it." And those were her exact words. And I was like, wow. But then I thought about it. I was like, okay, she's got my best interest at hand because she doesn't want me. And she told me, "I don't want you to depend on it. I want you to keep walking." So
You know,
I walked into I walked in there, and she seen that I could stand. She was like, "No, I'm not doing it." So that was to my answer to the first question. The
you know,
second one,
it that ties right into your second one where you say that um, people with MS can't work. Um,
mm-hmm,
uh, I know somebody who um, once they found out that they had MS. Um, they didn't initially, from what I can remember, um, let it take over. But when they saw that um, the financial gain from it, for, I'm not saying faking it, but allowing it to take over,
Mhm.
um, outweighed the want for independence.
You get
Um,
comfortable.
you
You
get comfortable,
settle. Yeah.
and and you get so used to that that you think that everybody around you is supposed to cater to you because whatever reason, and
Right.
that isn't the case.
Mm-mm.
Especially if people aren't stupid that are around you, especially if they see that you are not, um, you only claim MS struggle when the situation suits it.
Mm.
You're not so far gone with MS that you can't do, you just got lazy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the key thing too. It's you always say mindset, and mindset is everything when it comes to this disease. Because if you sit there and do nothing about it,
Mhm.
or hold on to what status you hold in your life now, that will consume you if you don't go forward. And it comes like a dependent on the MS. Well, I have MS, so I'm just gonna this because one day you may not be able to do too much, or then and the next day you may be down in bed and can't barely get to the restroom. That's not gonna last forever. If you don't do something about it, then you will succumb to that and worse.
Mhm.
That's just like if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, anything across the board. If you don't take your medicines, if you don't do your exercising, if you don't do take your test and manage your disease, oh, it's going to gobble you up. Any of those would. You have to take care of yourself with multiple sclerosis, even with diabetes. You have to eat correctly. You have to watch your sugars. You have to watch your insulin, your high blood pressure. You have to watch your salt intake. You have to watch your stress levels. Everything has those components there to that you've got to follow those guidelines to make you live a healthier life. It doesn't have to be um your demise. Multiple sclerosis affects our muscles. So we just can't sit and let our muscle deteriorate because it will, and it will fast. You warriors know just as well as I do, we have weaker sides with deficit and stuff, and it's imperative to keep that going. There's been times where I've struggled to go to the restroom, almost vomiting and so weak and dizzy, thinking I'm going to die on my way to the bathroom because I felt like my body was going to shut off. I didn't have to go to the bathroom like that. I could have had a bedpan, and I'm talking here at home. I could have had a bedside commode. I could use a bedside commode. I could use a bedpan. Shit, if I wanted to, if I had to, I have a trash can on the side of my bed. I mean, only you know when you are in that dire position, sick, that sometimes it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I've
Mhm.
been to that point to where I have gotten to the bathroom and screamed for somebody to please come get me help that I didn't really know too much, felt like where I was at. I was half naked. I needed to clean myself. I was crying. I was shaking. I was trembling. I was burning up. I didn't know if I was going to make it 10 minutes longer. I didn't know. I knew that I needed help getting back to the bed, but I got out of the bed to get myself to the restroom. I had to fight for me. I had to fight. I wasn't going to pee or poop in my bed. I wasn't going to turn to the trash can. I wasn't going to do that. I pressed, and my family knows. And now these are on relapses coming home from the hospital and flares that are real bad. I have pushed myself, you guys, when I didn't think I had any strength left. Seriously, I thought that I would die.
Mm.
Honestly, I've been there. I've had those moments, AG, and it's scary as shit. It's scary, but you have to push yourself to the limit. I knew my legs could have came from under me, but I had to push myself to see if that was going to happen. I needed
Mhm.
to do that to prove to myself I've got to get through this. And yeah, it took some time. I got better, back on my feet and stuff. We usually, when we have a relapse, we're usually left with some type of added deficit, and sometimes we come back to baseline. Okay, I fought for my baseline every. There's no kids in here, right?
Shit
No.
talking Sundays, because every day is shit talking Sundays.
So
So
every fucking day, guys, I fought. For 3 months, I thought I was dying. I couldn't even stay awake, honestly. And my family just everybody the whole house was quiet. Like, man, is are we doing this with her? And um, I had to fight, 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 fight. You
yeah,
know, and it's real.
I,
So let me
I
move on
hold on
before.
real quick. I
Yeah,
we could do a part two to this because I see how much
it's
time
a
we have, and
lot.
so
It's a lot.
we don't need to rush it.
Okay.
Let me just say that's why I used to press my friend to 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 just push themselves, um, and they just didn't. And we eventually fell out behind it because I just felt like I'm not Benson to you. That's not what
Hmm.
I was put on this earth for, is to cater to your every need. And I'm not going to do that, not as a grown man, especially when I can see when situation allows itself
Mm.
to manifest, that they can be normal. They
Mm.
function. They all their everything that they need. They handle. There no issues. So
Oh,
when
got
I
it.
see that you pick and choose when it suits you, I see that as just being lazy. So
Mm.
I'm not calling nobody out. That's why I'm not saying no names or gender or
Hmm.
nothing. I'm just saying, if you're like that, you can't expect people to want to cater to you when people ain't blind. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we know it's a serious disease. Don't get it
Right.
wrong. But if it is, work with us as the outsiders and understand that, um, you know, when it's bad, yes, we get it. But when it isn't, man, be real.
Right. 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 This is a little funny that just happened recently. And to your story, I'm thinking, maybe I did that. Um, During camping on our glamping trip, one of
Recently,
my yeah, recently, one of my grandchildren, he's teen, he'll be 15. No, he's 15, he'll be 16. He hasn't been with me on outings in a long time. And at home, he has seen me on visits have problems standing quite a few times and walking. Okay. So when we went camping, he was right there to get me out of the truck, to get me up the stairs. And at some of the points, I did need a little hand because I was going downhill and I didn't want to fall, slide or anything. So he was kind of being really protective with grandma, you
hmm
know, during that. And Larry got out of the truck, and my grandson had me by the arm, and I was getting out of the truck. He said, "If you don't let her go," he was like, he said, oh, you doing this, huh? You getting all the help you can, huh? And I was like, leave me alone, you
You know,
know?
you should have
And
said, "Don't hate. Why are you hating?" I see. Well, Larry, we got something to talk about.
yeah, right. So he sees me get in and out of his truck. Okay. So it's not all the time do I feel weak enough, because there's been times where he's had to come around the side and help me out. So it all depends really, because one day we could feel strong as Zeus, the next minute feel weak as a newborn kitten. So it really just depends on you daily. But I'm gonna admit it now, and I'm not full of shit. I'm always gonna own up to it. I think I could have rolled with that a little bit, even I if it didn't really have to. But it was kind of um in my mind a little bit. I let him do what he felt that he wanted to do. He wanted to be that crutch for me,
Yeah,
and
let a grandkid be a grandkid, helping their
yeah,
grandma.
yeah. So I was like, exactly, and I felt the love from him because he was there for me on his own. Ask him, hey, every time I get out of the truck or you see me going up or coming down, do you come and get me? I mean, and we held hands like this when I was walking. He wanted to be there for grandma on the rocky roads and getting out of, now, mind you, we're glamping, but the roads are still dirt, in and out of the truck and stuff. And so he was there with me at every point. And I'm glad he did that, because that let me know that my grandson has a compassionate heart for others. Not just because I'm his grandma, because grandkids, they don't know exactly and feel what I'm going through, to know, hey, let's make sure grandma is safe getting out of the truck, walking down the hill and stuff like that. So I'm glad he's that kind of young gentleman at his age, because he really showed me that he could be there for me. Whatever I needed, he that I didn't have to struggle,
Mhm.
and then I should have thrown a rock at Larry that day for saying that. But I can't remember everything I told him. I think I told him, hey, just mind your business or something I said. And
Mhm.
I was like, you just let us be. So, but it was a good time.
All
So,
right, number three.
okay. So, let me give you the answers to the number two. I just spoke a little bit of it, saying that my doctor didn't want to give me the wheelchair, yada yada.
Mhm.
So um we and it's, this disease is so unpredictable. Some days I need a wheelchair, some days I do not. Have I had to be in a wheelchair because I couldn't stand and walk? Yes, I have. I have a wheelchair. I have a wheeled walker. I have it all. I cannot walk a mall. I cannot walk a grocery store to do grocery shopping. I'll fall or pass out, because my body is trying to hold up my weight and walk and tell my legs to move, tell my brain to look at the produce. It's just too much. And then I get weak. I feel like I'm a vomit. Um, my left arm is weak anyway, so it's not like I can sit and keep grabbing groceries. And so going grocery shopping and trying to stand, that's really, really, really hard. Um, I cannot walk the auctions, the flea markets. I have to use mobility help, which scooter, wheelchair, that type of thing. Um, so my disease is, um, there will be times where I can hardly walk in my house. Okay. So not all the time am I just running through my house. Oh, my phone is ringing. Let me run and go get it. No. There's times where my legs aren't too strong and I can't be back and forth all day long getting my food or anything. And that's Larry takes care of all that. So yes, I do get catered to. And there's a lot of times I'm still in my mind independent. I still want to do my things on my own. Do I need help? I do. And I'm not ashamed to ask for help. If I can't do something, that's what I have in-home care provider for. And it works for me. There's times where, like I say, I wasn't able to walk one time before for 4 days. My legs weren't working. Thank you, Lord, for giving me my mobility back. But I've been there and done that. So I get the thing about the wheelchair. I don't have to be in a wheelchair 24/7 at my level right now with MS. Okay. So moving on to number 3. So uh, is it true that only older adults develop MS? Okay. Any of you warriors out there got the answer to that? But I do if you don't. Um, and just by me personally speaking, this kind of I'm going to give you my answer to that because all these myths pertain to me because I'm a warrior. So, which means I have multiple sclerosis. Okay. So it says actually most people with multiple sclerosis experience their first symptom between the ages of 20 and 40 years old. Okay. I have read this over and over and over and over in my 5 years of being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. From many, many sources, I have read that. So for me, I would say true because, well, true and not true. And I can explain why. Um, it's not true saying you can only not catch, but develop MS as you're older. No, but they say when you are diagnosed, you've had it at least 10 years, at least 10 years. Okay, so I'm 56, diagnosed 5.5 years ago, so that leaves me 51. So 10 years prior, 41. Okay, now thinking back, I was young and started having symptoms, and through those years, not knowing until I was diagnosed with MS and educated myself, damn it, that was MS peeking through, and doctors not seeing it or me not, telling my doctor every time something was happening. Sometimes we don't always run to the phone and call the doctor. Oh, my leg is hurting. Oh, my back. Oh, my face, stuff like that. When I started having issues with tingling in my face, yes, I did go to the doctor. Um, and they thought I had a stroke. They ruled that out because I didn't have any brain bleeds. I went through the MRI thing. And down the line is when they said I had predominant spots in the area where MS strikes in my brain. And that's when it kicked off. So, um, so that is a myth. And that's not true. Only older adults develop MS. No. Just diagnosis. It takes years of symptoms slightly, and then you come full-fledged with it, with a symptom that could maybe require you to go to the hospital like it did me. My arm kinked up like I was having a stroke. So then that's when, they do the MRI and see if you have MS or not. And also it says that, let's see, it says having the start of symptoms over the age of 40, 50 is very rare. So, and to me, 50 is not that old, but in the MS world, it's very rare for someone to be diagnosed over the age of 50 with symptoms of MS. Okay. So that was number three, guys. And
You
that was
know,
mine. Go ahead.
I could see where the misdiagnosis and maybe there why it's relatively rare. And you're one of the rare, I would say, because you had it in your 40s, but you weren't diagnosed with it to your 50s because maybe you were stronger when you were younger, so the symptoms didn't take over. Like maybe if you were to
Right.
not have exercised as much, maybe wasn't as outgoing as you were when you were younger, and maybe you were overweight when you were younger, and I know you weren't,
Mm-mm.
but um, that could contribute to maybe symptoms appearing sooner. And the fact that you kept yourself in relatively good health, and even all the way up until you were 50, you were in good shape. And
Yeah.
even now, you're still in decent shape. But I could see where it's rarer, and that would probably be what would make sense on why it is rare because
Right.
you exercise.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like and it's weird how this disease works because you can exercise, and of course it keeps you going and keeps your muscles and everything, but at the same time, you're battling the enemy for that in your
Mhm.
body. But if you keep going,
Yeah.
then it kind of overcomes possibilities of your symptoms already. What happens if you wouldn't? How extreme would those effects be affecting you? If you weren't, say, if you were just sitting back and of course not walking, not doing anything at all, of course, and you've got to eat, so you would have all that build up, and of course it'd be more deficit to the body. So definitely, um I'm going to answer a question here. It says from Jason. Evening, Jason. It says, I remember when I used to play a lot of basketball, I would get the electric shocks. Oh, I always thought, well, I need some water. Looking back now, could have been signs of MS. Yes, but I could probably almost bet some money on it, Jason. Um, I have gotten those shocks. The only time I get the shocks though, is when I sit down and I bend my head looking down, like into my lap. And I could almost, it gives me the quivers right now to even think about doing that. And I'm not going to do that. It's an ugly, weird feeling, like I'm being, like my nerves are being stretched and they're zapping me, telling me, don't do this, that position. Sometimes when I'm sitting up in bed, and I always prop myself up with a lot of pillows. And sometimes at I guess the way that I'm sitting and I'm looking down either at my phone, it'll zap me, and that tells me you're not sitting correctly, because if that nerve is being pinched or stretched, that's shocking something. I'm doing lines with the neck and the back. It's not right. And then sometimes I'll feel it go down the back of my legs, and I'm like, oh yeah. So I'll shift and move differently. I have experienced those a lot before the Kesimpta. And I don't remember if that was the time when I was on a flare. It could have been. Our symptoms are heightened, of course, when we start to have a flare. That's what a flare means. So I've definitely witnessed that. And um, I'm not sure if mine is caused from I have lesions in my neck and my spine. It's just not on my brain. It's down my in my neck and down my spine. So, you know, so there we go with the back thing and the neck thing. And um I have some neck issues, of course. Certain way that I turn, I'll get zapped and stuff. And each time that happens, I think, okay, this nerve on that side is maybe a little bit more damaged, having some trouble that day. Then, because not every day does my symptoms, um not all of them every day. Some come, some go. I have some that stay. Um, so the weakness, the fatigue, dizzy, the overall just kind of feeling like I have the flu all the time. Um, those come and go more less frequently now that I've been on Kesimpta. I've been on three other medications prior to that, and um, thinking back, shit, I was always in the hospital. Always. It seems like every 3 months I was back at the hospital. Something was haywire with my body. I felt like it was going to shut off. And I don't know if you warriors can relate to that. When I tell people that or explain, they're like, what do you mean? What do you feel like? And I'm like, I don't know what dying feels like, of course, but I relate it to that. Like my body is going to shut off. My heart, my lungs, my thinking, everything movement feels like, okay, any second it's going to shut off. I've been there, done that over many, many times. And that's the scariest shit I've ever experienced in my life. And to know I have no control to stop it, right? It's not like I can stop that lady from jumping off a bridge, or, I can stop this guy from taking these pills to commit suicide. It's it's awful when you know you have no control. That's why taking care of yourself and knowing how to treat your MS, take care of your body, your brain health, your overall health, um, is so vital. It's so important because if you let it go, if you let yourself go, it's going to get worse. It'll get worse. And it doesn't have to at the hand of yourself. It doesn't, So, and with me, I'll never let anybody else, cause me to go downhill with MS. There's no need for that. I'm in control of this ship. You know what I mean? So that's why I be careful with sugars. I'm careful with chocolate. I'm careful with making plans to go somewhere when it's warm outside. I will not put myself in jeopardy of not knowing or knowing my limits and exceeding that. I don't want to feel sick in that from the heat, from stress, and I don't care what it is, family news, stress, financial worries, relationships with people in my family, relationships with my children, my grandchildren and stuff. I have limits, guys, and I've learned to live my life to the fullest and be careful. I tread lightly on stress. I tread lightly on mishandling my relationships with people because at the end of the day, the people that are in my life, I love them. That's why they're in my life, So I don't cause myself the extras, probably as I would when I was 20, 25, like an argument or something, or I'm going to prove a point and that's going to cause me to get into an argument with somebody. No, no, I do my damnedest to you pick my battles wisely. And that's Larry saying, you got to choose your battles wisely. He tells the kids or just in stories and stuff. And I've learned that because that can knock you down. As we know, stress, um, being upset, just emotional stress, emotional knocks me for a loop. Yeah, it like, oh my God. And then I'm like, fuck, I'm not that tough as I thought I was. Oh my God. But yeah, so yeah, but I'm still a tough bitch. No. So, but yeah, so you got to be careful to take care of you, you know. This is what I say to myself now. I'm still me. I have a mess, but now I come with an instruction guide. And that's it. That's it. Um Tonight I wanted to get through um these 9 myths of multiple sclerosis, but Like AG said, let's save it. And that's only, we just covered 3. I just gave you guys 3 and my answers to them because I live with multiple sclerosis. As you know, that's why I'm here. And that's why you're watching yours truly. Hey! Cool, Kevin. Isn't that Simta? So I'll save the rest of this for next Tuesday because we're just at starting number 4 and we have all the way to number 9. So that will be another show. So I'll save that because it gives you guys perspective too on me in my life with MS. There's more to it for the females. What about you? Should women become pregnant if they're diagnosed with MS? Women worry about that. Of course, can it be carried over to the child? So we'll get to all that in the next episode. Tonight, AG, I don't see no comments on my screen. It's coming up differently. So I hope that I haven't missed anything from any of our viewers. I see things coming across different on the screen, but not that box usually that everybody's in. So if you see something that I should tap into before we call it a night, I'd gladly do so. I want to thank everyone who out there watching. Definitely appreciate you guys being here to share my journey with me. And please comment, subscribe, press that like button. Let's reach as many. Without you guys, I can't do it alone. It takes, like they say, it takes a village. It takes all of us to come together to reach as many warriors as we can. A lot of people are out there that are uneducated about multiple sclerosis. They think that that it's the end of life if you are given the diagnosis, and that's scary information to take in and not have anyone to speak with, to just find out, hey, is there other people like me? And that's part of the part 2 for next week. It talks about that as well as the into with the 9 myths about multiple sclerosis. So my journey is to spread awareness and be there for others like me, as others have reached out to me as well. I have turned to the internet to ask my fellow warriors, hey, do you experience this? What do you take? What did your doctors give you? Do I need tests for this? So I know that I'm not alone. And I don't want anyone else out there with multiple sclerosis to feel that they're alone, because they're not. And this is why AG takes his time and his skills. Yes. Thank you, friend. On doing this. There's nobody else out there doing it live like we are here on Shit Talking Sundays. This is a platform where you can come talk about your journey. Let's share, compare, and support. That's what it's all about. If you're having a bad day, get on here, vent, air it out. Let's talk. That's what it's about. Until then, friends, until next Tuesday, because I would love to see you guys here. And please, by all means, my fellow warriors, come on the show. Let's talk. Let's have some deep conversation about our journeys on either Kesimpta or just multiple sclerosis. Not everybody is on Kesimpta, so I'm not putting anybody in a box to that. It's all about share, compare, and support. Okay, so until then, all my warriors, you already know my famous line is, take care of you, because if you don't, who will? It's important. You're important to me. Please take care of your brain health, your overall health. Take care of your MS health. Until then, I shall see you guys back here Tuesday, 6 p.m. on Shit Talking Sundays. Good night.
Right on. Thank you. Everybody out there, I know we tried to cram a lot into an hour, and we only made it to 3. So this may be 2 or 3 episodes. We'll find out, depending on how fast we get into it. I don't want to rush anything because the more information I can get to you, the more conversation we can have. I don't personally have MS. I feel bad for anybody who is suffering from any disease. But no matter what you have, keep your mindset positive and you'll be amazed on what your brain will achieve. Always don't be afraid to reach out to somebody and ask for help, okay? Because you'll be surprised. Help is just, matter of fact, help is just where's her? Boom. Email that number. And if you have MS, she will definitely reach back out to you. The MS Warrior is really passionate about doing this. I by no means make any money doing this, at least at the present time. If you want to donate, by all means, there is a link in the description where if you want to donate, you can. We all know adulting is hard and it's never too late to talk about life insurance. So if you don't have life insurance and you need some, there is a link in the description that you can click on and get a free life insurance quote, or at least discuss maybe some type of financial stuff for you and your children and your loved ones. Till then, this is Shit Talking Sundays in the Light of a Warrior with the MS Warrior. I'm AG the Dad. Please be blessed, stay blessed, love one another, and see you next week. Peace.
Sunday morning drama is calling up my mama. Drama.